All right, y'all. Let's get right into it. You see the title of the video, man. Why 90% of people will never lose, any body fat, right? Any body fat at all. All right. So when it comes to this, guys, you have to realize that I actually saw a study or someone on Instagram. I don't know how true this was, but it just sounds like it makes fucking sense based on my experience. But they said it takes like once you lose the fat, right? Like keeping it off is also hard because it takes your body and like your mind 2 years. He said 2 years to adjust to your new weight, right? For your new normal, right? That's why wherever you are, it's always super hard for you to get to a new place. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about mostly mindset shit because your body doesn't like to make you know, new connections, new wiring connections, and change what it's been used to. So if you've looked the same for like 20 fucking years, you're gonna have to take drastic, dramatic change in order to actually get to that next level. All right. Now, I actually want to read you a quote about exactly what I'm talking about. So, boom. The quote reads: "Your brain wants to use the familiar least path of least resistance, right? Path of least resistance. The same habits, the same places, the same people. But if you want to change your life, you need to deliberately take the dirt road over and over again until it becomes as smooth as a highway." All right. So that's exactly basically that is the main reason most people do not lose body fat. It's like they're not willing to be uncomfortable to the point where they are able to make the drastic change for long enough to actually get to the results. That's what people fucking struggle with, right? Obviously, the science behind it is eat less, don't eat like a fat bitch, and you get lean. We know that shit, but it's the mindset that we're not able to overcome. It's the mental battles that we can't navigate through, and that's what stops most people. All right. So this is one of the most common things, of course. You guys think this shit is fucking magic, right? You see losing fat in general, losing body fat as a short term goal. Losing weight can be a pretty short term goal. Like, yeah, you can lose 10 pounds pretty quickly. You see the boxers lose 14 pounds overnight, just flushing out water, sauna, sweatsuits, you know, all that shit, right? They could even take laxatives if they want to get rid of weight. But when you're trying to lose body fat, that's a longer term thing. You want to maintain your muscle mass, right? Because if you lose weight, right, and your goal is to lose body fat, but some of that weight is muscle, you're either going to maintain or gain body fat, even though your weight is going down, right? So, for example, if you lose 10 pounds, 7 pounds of it is muscle, 3 pounds is fat. And this happens a lot with a lot of people who rush the process. Your body fat is going to go up because you lost so much lean body mass, right? So it's very, very important to realize that this is a long term goal. This is a lifestyle change. And building muscle in general takes time. Losing fat takes time. And if you are losing fat while maintaining muscle, it's going to look infinitely better than just losing water weight with muscle, with body fat, all that stuff together, right? You don't want to lose any muscle. You want to maintain as much lean body mass as possible. You'll feel better, look better, metabolism will be better as well. And no matter how many times we talk about this, there's always going to be something trending on TikTok, some new pill, some new workout machine, or some new, workout or whatever. Like there's a lot of at home, workouts. Like if you want to lose your belly, just do this crunch or do that crunch, right? So you can work your belly and get rid of the belly fat. That's not how you fucking do it. All right. Like I'm tired of seeing people who are 40% body fat doing sit ups and saying this is how you get rid of it. Well, clearly it's not working for you. So why the fuck would I listen? All right. That's number one. Number two, there's no correlation between doing a crunch and losing belly fat. There's zero correlation between doing crunches and losing belly fat. You guys need to get that shit through your head, by the way. It's very strange that that is like when I say that to people, they're like, oh my God, what do you mean? There is zero correlation between doing crunches, doing sit ups, right? And losing belly fat. All right. Belly fat is this part of your body fat, right? Belly fat is stubborn, right? You're gonna lose it when you stay in a deficit for long enough. All right. That's all nutrition. Because burning fat, burning calories is not the same as losing fat. Losing fat means you're in a deficit. All right, and you have to be consistent with that shit to actually lose that fat. Because when I used to want abs back in the day, I did a lot of ab work, right? And guess what? I just had a little tummy. Like shit was weird. I was skinny as shit with the little tummy. Why? Because I ate like shit. All right, cleaned up my nutrition, right? Over time, built muscle, and then got lean, got my body fat percentage down. Guess what? You can see your abs now. It's a body fat percentage game. If you want to see your abs, if you want to see the cuts. If you're like, yo, how do people get the cut in the shoulder and this, and that, and how do they make their chest pop, bro? It's just body fat. They're consistently eating in a deficit to get lean while eating high protein. All right. Just like I was saying, man, like every time, if you ask anybody, ask any of your friends, ask anybody that you know, like, hey, man, how do I get rid of belly fat? They say crunches. Maybe they'll say stairmaster or some shit like that, right? Where you burn calories. But I see this all the time in the gym. People are always like, "Hey man, I've been doing the crunches, man. I just saw you flexing, man. So like, what kind of crunches do you do? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, bro, just watch me in this gym for a year. You will not see me do a fucking crunch, bro. I'm gonna do some compound movements. I'll do some squats. I'll do some bench. I'll do some pull ups, muscle ups, but I'm not going to do direct crunches because I realize that efficiency is always going to be better, right? Efficiency is always going to be better than, you know, and what works is always going to be better than just doing something that feels like it works. Just because something is hard work doesn't mean that it fucking works, all right? Like, if you want to lose as much fat as possible, including your belly fat area, what do you have to do? You have to be in a high protein calorie deficit and be consistent with that, right? That is something that is absolutely needed. What is not needed is doing crunches. All right, that is something that is not needed. All right, and I'm all about efficiency. If you guys learn anything from this channel, it's that anything I talk about is the laziest way. All right. Like I always talk about getting on body game and shit like that, right? Well, all these exercises, eating healthy is the fastest way to get lean and get on body game. All right. Being on body game is the fastest way to get genuine desire. So you don't have to, you know, you don't have to like I don't know what this mouthpiece stuff is, but you don't have to like convince a chick that doesn't want you to want you in a situation. Because if a chick wants you, she wants you. Genuine desire based off body game. You don't have to say shit, right? Like it doesn't fucking matter. Like a lot of you guys are trying to not. This is kind of off topic, but a lot of you guys try not to talk your way out the punani, right? And like everyone that I know that's in shape, we really don't give a shit. We don't give a shit what we say because we know this genuine desire really doesn't fucking matter, right? Anyways, right? A lot of you guys don't want to make this shit a lifestyle change. All right. Thinking about not eating your fried chicken, eating your ice cream, eating your cookies, drinking your beer while watching the game on the weekends. Like a lot of you guys that really stresses you out. Now, a lot of you guys don't mind doing that for a couple of days. I mean, for yeah, a couple of days, couple of weeks. You're like, yeah, I could eat lean. Eating lean is easy, right? It feels good. It feels good. I feel great. After a month, you're like, dang, bro, I really can't eat cookies ever again. And your old self starts to creep in, and that's when most people fail because they're like, you know what? I like the taste of crumble cookie more than I like the taste of success, or I like the taste of fried chicken more than I like the taste of six pack abs. You see shit like that, right? Or I like the taste of whatever I want to eat whenever I want to eat it more than I like the taste of body game. These are just how most this is how most people think, right? They're like, oh my god, you only live once. Yeah, you're gonna live a shitty, low quality life with health problems because of your decisions. So that's one of the goofiest things you could say. All right, you only live once. Stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. Goofy. All right, and one more thing is, like I say, I'll say this unsustainable keto diet and all this stuff. Now, everybody who comments that's like, yo, keto worked for me, and then I gained the weight back. That means it didn't fucking work, dumbass. All right, I'm not gonna say that again. You said keto worked for you, but at this moment you're fat as shit. That means it wasn't sustainable, so it didn't work. So do not comment below and say no, it worked for me. It's gonna work for weight loss in the short term. If something works in the short term, it doesn't mean it worked long term. It's like if you're one of those people who did the GameStop trade, right? And you just got lucky. And then you keep reinvesting, trying to look for new meme stocks, and you lost all your money. And you're like, yo, I used to know how to trade. I don't give a fuck. What's going on right now? Right? We live in the fucking present, not in the past. Oh, congratulations, you lost 10 pounds 4 years ago, and you've been fat ever since. That doesn't fucking matter. All right? I hate when you guys say that shit in the comment section, like, oh, keto and carnivore does work for me. Da 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 da. Listen, the average person and the average person that comments stuff like that or DMs me has so much body fat that it's not even about being on keto. It's about being in a deficit. When keto, when carnivore, when any of those diets work, it's because you're in a deficit. If Ozempic works, it's because it suppresses your appetite to make you in a deficit. How are you losing fat? You're in a deficit. If you intermittent fast and you lost fat, it's because you're in a deficit. It's a deficit, guys. It's not these specific diets for the last fucking time. I'm not going to say that shit again. It's not that deep. You guys overcomplicate everything. And it's always people commenting, and they're not even close to lean. It's like, what are you, bro? You're like 50% body fat, 40%. I'm going to say this one more time. If you're 30, let's say you're 30 to 30%. All right, let's say if I'm 35 to 30%. Realistically, it takes a long time to get up there. It takes hard work. It takes a lot of bad eating to get to that 30 to 35. It takes a bad mindset. All right. So if I want to get down from 35 to like 25, I can eat, crumble cookie once a day, and then eat some eggs, eat some chicken salad, eat some potatoes, and I'll be losing fat. I'll be eating like 3,500 calories losing fat because I have so much fat to lose. So why the fuck would I go from, by the way, I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that's how much room you have to work with. So why would you go from eating 4,000, 5,000 calories to get up to 35%, to going keto and eating 1,500 calories. It makes no sense, and that's why you can't sustain it. You're going too extreme. It's literally unnecessary. All right. Now, when you guys compare yourself to these people doing paleo diet, those people are 6, 7% body fat doing CrossFit. First of all, if you do CrossFit, you clearly have more discipline than 99% of people. So stop comparing yourself to people who clearly have way more discipline than you do. All right. If you're just the average person, you want to get leaner, you simply need to be in a deficit. All right. You don't have to be doing all this crazy, unnecessary stuff. All right. One more thing. They want it fast, right? People always want, the results as fast as possible, right? And like I always say, I don't blame them because I promise you, Amazon Prime literally changed my life. All right. I'm not trying to glaze, but Amazon Prime changed my life. I'm not trying to glaze Jeff Bezos, but thinking that something's coming in 4 days and it comes in one day, bro, that would literally save your life. Or like if you had a bad day at work and 3 days ago you ordered something and it was supposed to come in 7 days and you get off your bad day at work and it's here, you're like, you know what? It saved my life, bro. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. Like that shit changes your mindset, right? So that's how you start thinking about results, right? You start thinking about it like that. If you've gone viral on like Instagram or TikTok, that instant gratification, that dopamine hit, that's what you're chasing. If you've eaten a lot of candy throughout your life and you're always eating for pleasure and you're always drinking and trying to have as much fun as possible, and that's your imperative, then you're constantly chasing these dopamine hits. So doing something like locking in on nutrition, which is something that requires significant delayed gratification, that's what it requires because you're not like you might be losing half a centimeter, if at best, like half a centimeter consistently, every couple of days off your waist, like at best, right? Maybe the first week you lose 3, 4 centimeters off your waist. That's cool. You know what I mean? But on average, when you average it out, like a 6 month, 1 year period, it'll be like half a centimeter every week, somewhere in that range, right? Or half a centimeter every, 3 to 4 days, right? So that obviously, if you have, 20 inches or 15 inches to lose off your waist is going to require a lot of delayed gratification. And a lot of people can't do that, right? Because they're so used to these instant hits. And even when you work out, this is the reason people work out and they don't eat healthy. Because when you work out, you feel great right after. You got a pump, you got blood flow, you got endorphins going. You're in the zone. You had good music in your ears. There's baddies all around. You feel great. But when you eat what you're supposed to, nothing happens. There's no high. There's literally no high, right? Now, obviously, you start feeling way better and you're starting to get leaner over time. But when you have a lot of fat to lose, it can be discouraging when you go from 40 to 35% body fat. Because I mean, let's be honest, the visual difference isn't significant. Now, from 15 to 10, significant difference. But from like 40 to 35% body fat, like a lot of you guys get discouraged because you're like, damn, I'm not at my goals. When you should be thinking about like, damn, I lost 5%. That means I could lose 25%. That's how you should be thinking. And you should be also looking at your pace, right? Always look at it more long term because what ends up happening is if you focus so much on the short term, you're going to quit. And the long term is going to pass anyways because time always passes. And then when that time passes, you're like, damn, if I stuck to it, I would have been there. Everyone does that. Everyone has regrets, all right? It's a pain of discipline or pain of regret. That's exactly what it means. Like in that moment when you want to quit, are you going to be like, you know what? I'm already down 2%. If I could lose 2%, I could lose 20%, right? Just got to be consistent. Or you can be like, man, I only lost 2%. This is hard. I give up. And then hate what you see in the mirror, hate how people treat you, and never be on body game type shit. It's up to you, man. All right, one more thing. People prioritize cardio over strength training. And let me tell you one more thing, man. Let me tell you one more thing. So the main thing people always focus on when it comes to losing fat is like, okay, let me work out for 2 hours and then do cardio for 1 hour because if I do a lot, that'll mean that I should be losing weight because I deserve it. That's kind of their mentality. But in reality, it's not about what you feel like you deserve, right? You can't bring feelings and subjectiveness into what is what requires facts like science. All right, science says you need to be in a deficit to lose fat. So if you do cardio and you feel great and you feel like you deserve extra food and you eat extra food, which is what everyone does, well, you're not gonna lose the fat. And I know that person that commented, they were like, well, I'm like 40% body fat, but I'm gonna eat 1900 because some people want results faster. And I'm like, okay, dumbass, that's why you're 40% body fat. You have that mindset and you're gonna be there forever. All right. Because you're gonna do the 1900 calories, you're gonna lose a lot of muscle and fat, right? You're gonna lose a lot of muscle and fat. So you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna take your body fat percentage 20 pounds down, it's gonna be either higher or the same. And then you're gonna quit. And then you're gonna go right back to where you were, right? That is the issue. If you focus on only cardio, right? Whether you're in a deficit or not, focus on only cardio and you overeat, you're going to gain fat, right? might lose some muscle. If you focus on cardio and you overdo it and then you undereat, right, you're going to lose muscle and fat. So then you're going to be down 20 pounds and your body fat's going to be up by 2-3%. And it's going to piss you off, right? It's because you're not doing what works. You're not doing the bare minimum of what works. Your goal is to lose body fat. If your goal is to lose body fat, you should literally be prioritizing strength training, high protein, calorie deficit. Everything else comes after. All right. Water intake, sleep, those are guarantees. I'm not even going to mention those. You should just be getting sleep and water intake. I'm not going to mention those. I don't want someone in the comment to be like, wait, what about sleep? What about sleep? If you're getting 6 hours or you're getting a certain amount of hours you're used to, then you're fine. All right. Nobody's really out here getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep, right? And if they are, they're not using it as an excuse, because obviously if they're consistently getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep, that just means they're literally locked in, and they're they're locked the fuck in. They don't make excuses clearly. All right, one more thing is that a lot of people are inconsistent. Now, inconsistency doesn't look like what most people think it does. Like, missing 2 days per week, right? That would be a little bit too consistent for inconsistent people. Inconsistent people have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, right? And when they look back, they're like, you know what, I worked really hard, I deserve results. But when you do the math, because like I said, take emotions out of this shit, keep it factual. When you do the math of what they've been doing, majority of the time they've been at maintenance calories, right? So for example, this is the most common pattern that I've seen, right? I've trained thousands and thousands of people. This is by far in men and women, all right? It's the most common pattern I see, all right? And it's because of the motivation factor. 2 weeks of insane consistency, like people will be 2 weeks, for 2 weeks they'll be David Goggins, right? And then for 1 week they'll be on My 600 Pound Life. And then the next week, they'll kind of bounce back and they'll kind of be like, a little bit better than the last week, but not as good as their David Goggins weeks, right? And then they look at the end of the month and they're like, oh my God, I'm not making any progress. What's going on? It's like your third and fourth week canceled out your first 2 weeks. You have to be consistent to see results. You have to allow results to compound. It's like, the way I look at it is just like a paycheck, all right? So the first 2 weeks when you're locked in, you showed up to work. The next 2 weeks, you didn't show up to work. So you only got paid for the weeks that you showed up. All right, it's that simple. That's why you got to focus on the process, right? Because focusing on the process is making it as sustainable as possible is what's going to keep you going long term. All right, all this. I'm feeling so motivated, so let me overdo everything. Let me work out 7 days straight. You know what I'm saying? You could do that shit for 2 weeks. Then your motivation runs out, and you're like, wait, I can't do this anymore. I'm burnt out. You see what I'm saying? So stop doing that shit. Too many people do that shit. And another thing is they're racing. They're racing, right? They want the Brad Pitt Fight Club or Troy physique. Troy physique, I would say, is about 10. He got to be about 10, 11%. Fight Club, remember, he has lower muscle mass. So it's like, if I'm saying, low percentages, he's not going to look like bodybuilders. Like a bodybuilder at 15%, I mean, come on, bro. They're going to look insane. But yeah, Brad Pitt's like 6, 7% in Fight Club. And a lot of people want to look like that. But, obviously, when he started, he was probably 15%, and then he got down to 6 to 7, and he had a plan and he executed it. A lot of you guys want to get there and you're 30, 35, but in your head, you're like, I'm probably like 15, right? And then you start your journey, you might have lost 5%, and then you get discouraged because you're not 6 to 7% because you don't know where you're starting in the first place. So you got to know where you're starting, right? And you got to have a plan of action that's going to make sure that you're actually consistent, right? Because inconsistency is just a lot of it is disorganization and not having a real plan. Because when you don't have a real plan, you like do one thing and then be like, I don't know if it's working. And then you'll do something else. You'll be like, I don't know if it's working. And then you just stop doing everything. And you'll be like, wait, it was working. Then you'll start again. You'll be like, wait, I don't know if it was. And then you'll stop, right? You just have no direction. That's most people. Like if you go to the gym and you watch most people, right? They're just, like I said, I call it, me and my brother, we call it, they're just whacking their shit, bro. We call it, they're just beating their meat on the machines. Why? Because they're not doing anything, right? They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there watching fucking movies and shit, right? Which is, yeah, watching movies. All right, so like I said, bottom line, if you're trying to lose body fat, belly fat, all right, like, and you're serious about that shit, the routine won't work if you don't do the work. Like Think and Grow Rich says, I just read that page yesterday. I fucking love that book. But it said, when, let me actually read the actual quote so I don't butcher it. Hold on. All right, here it is, guys. The number one fitness book ever. This is a fitness book. Do not get it confused. I know a lot of you guys think it might be something. This is the greatest fitness book of all time. The every principle in this is delaying gratification, consistency, compound effect. All of this is about fitness. I promise you, bro. Obviously, it's a business book, but like that's why fitness is so important because it's a pillar. It's a pillar of discipline, right? Because everything in this book, I read this entire book through a fitness lens, and I swear to God, it was like it was it was literally everything that's wrong with people not executing their goals. But anyways, it says, and listen to this. I quote. It says, "Where failure is experienced, it is the individual, not the method, which has failed." I'm gonna say that one more time. You guys need to hear this shit. Where failure is experience, it is the individual, not the method, which has failed. If you try and fail, make another effort and still another until you succeed. All right. That's just persistence. But a lot of you guys are always like, man, it's not working. It's like, no, you didn't give it enough time to work, right? Or you're not doing everything that you need to do. And I've seen both of those. Like I said, with the Brad Pitt physique shit, if you're 30%, you're not getting to 7% in 2 weeks or 2 months. All right. Matter of fact, if you're building muscle and if you have a lot of like trauma. I'm not gonna say trauma, but like you have a lot of issues eating what you need to eat and you just have bad eating habits, it might take you 2 fucking years. All right. But if you fail, just keep going, keep going, keep going. You're gonna eventually reach it. A lot of you guys, after you fail once, you're like, I'm out. Or you blame the method, right? And there's a lot of people. Listen, I've worked with a lot of people and they're just they just quit easily. I don't know if maybe they've never faced failure in their life, but they quit pretty easily. Like after 2 weeks, they're like, and they're making way too much. Listen, they're dropping like an inch or 2 or 3 inches in 2 weeks, which is insane. I've never even dropped that fast. You see what I'm saying? And there was my results inspire them, but the only reason they do is because when you when you see the end result, right, based on consistency, it's like, oh, that looks pretty decent. But I'm not losing 2 to fucking 3 inches in a week. That's fucking insane. All right, so they're losing like 2 to 3 inches the first 2 weeks, and they're just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just I need to see more results, and this is that. And I'm just like, bro, you haven't given it enough time to to actually work. And they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's. I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of my face, bro. Like that type of shit is just dumb as hell, bro. That's literally significant in patience. All right, you got to realize in this journey the only way to lose is to quit. Like if you don't quit, you're winning everything. That's why I'm always chilling. I'm always chilling with shit because I already know people will always work harder than me, but they're not going to work as consistently as I do. So if I work pretty hard, but I'm consistent, I'm always going to beat them because they're working super hard. Then they're burning out, or they're switching up, or they're quitting, right? And they're having these long gaps of time not doing what they need to do, and I'm just being consistent. All right. And one more thing. Doing an effective routine for 2 weeks. This is very common, by the way. People do effective routines for 2 weeks, 2 months, right? Instead of 6 months to a year, right? Instead of 3 fucking years. And they're like, I'm not seeing results. You're not doing it long enough. You're not giving enough time. You're lazy as hell, and you're not delaying gratification. It's the craziest shit of all time. All right. It's just not giving enough time. And that applies to everything in life, right? If you're trying to build a career, if you're trying to build a business, you're trying to build your physique, right? You're trying to build your credit, right? You're trying to get some chicks, bro. You are not, bro. If you're trying to start getting chicks right now, and you have been out the game for a long period of time, if you don't give it the 6 rule, the 6 week or the 6 month rule, depending on how uncooked you are, right? Then like you're not gonna make it. You gotta give it. You gotta do the rule. You gotta do the rule. You gotta give it time. All right. You gotta give it time. You gotta be so impatient. You want everything in one fucking day. All right. Makes no sense. You guys are reactive instead of proactive. You have to be proactive in this journey. Like a lot of people, like here's the thing. If you get type 2 diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you have high cholesterol, if you get kidney stones, that is from long-term bad habits. It's not from something you did yesterday. It's okay. What you did for the past month is fine. Right? It could be you could have had the healthiest past month. But all that shit that's happening right now, like the high cholesterol and shit like that, that's from years of bad habits, all right? Compounded over time. Now, if you're ready to lose that fat, and you're seriously locked in, trying to get on body game, trying to see the other side of body game, link is in the description, man. Because that's what I'm focusing on now is just getting the fellas on body game and shit like that, man. Like, here's the thing, man. Like when I trained like mostly females, it's just about really like losing a lot of excess fat and shit like that. Obviously, they want to shape out, but even some of the ladies that got them like the BBL shapes or whatever, and they got accused of like getting a BBL or whatever. That's because I focus on body fat. Like that weight shit, I don't really fucking care. All right, it's gonna come off, but I don't like to see a lot of weight leave people because then I'm like, yo, how much of that is muscle, right? Because you can lose 5 pounds and like 5 pounds on the scale in 6 months, but you can have a complete recomp. Like you could have lost 10% body fat and gained some muscle in the process. All right, so link is in the description, man. Stay